Hey everybody, welcome to this milestone in my channel, my first ever Q&A session. This is going to be a bit of a longer video, maybe around 20 minutes. I'm going to try to answer all the questions that you submitted to me in the last week. Welcome to the first ever Monday Q&A. I have my sister's blanket around me because it's very cold here where I am. Would have made it some tea to drink along with this video, but I'm going to have to make it afterwards. So, questions that you submitted to me, for the most part, last Monday. But keep in mind, in between every Q&A, you can submit new questions anytime from that week before the following Monday. Just remember that. So we got a good number of questions here. Let's dive right in. ADAJ3, who are your favorite 21 and under football players in the world right now? I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have two. And one of them just turned 22 back in January. So he's older than 21 by 2 months. And that's Leroy Sané. I think he's a really exciting young German prospect, and I hope to see him at the World Cup. I think the guy's incredible. And second favorite, my bias as an American, is Christian Pulisic. We've not ever had a player quite like him. I think he's only 19, but he's already quite possibly the most skilled on the ball American player that we've ever had. So Christian Pulisic and Leroy Sané of Germany. Let's see, who else? What else? Thomas Metropoulos. Do you think Pelé is the best soccer player of all time? No, I think Maradona is. I think because you look at the gravity at which Pelé accomplished, and you look at Maradona. Maradona did not have as strong as a supporting cast as Pelé. Pelé, 1958 to 1970, winning 3 out of those 4 World Cups. He had some help. Jairzinho and Carlos Alberto notwithstanding. Maradona literally took that 1986 team and carried them over the finish line. And he essentially died on that pitch for Argentina. He even took Argentina to the 1990 World Cup final 4 years later when they were even worse. They almost won it again. So I look at that and I think that that's a more impressive accomplishment, in my opinion. Pelé was very fortunate to be from Brazil, as skilled as he was. It's just that I just think that Brazil team from the late 50s until the early 70s was just stacked. Just completely stacked. Their B team probably could have won the World Cup. So I think he had some assistance. Yoni Tercios, do you think the Club World Cup should be expanded? It depends. If they can expand it without it interfering with the winter calendar and throwing all of, international club season into chaos, sure, go for it. But if they're going to expand it, don't jump right ahead to 32 teams. Experiment a little bit, just like the natural progression of the actual International World Cup. Expand it from the current 7 or 8 teams to like 12 or 16. See how that goes for a few years. Then if that goes great, expand it further. Be my guest. Start off small, start off pragmatic. And again, only if it wouldn't cause chaos with the club transfer window and other events going on in club football, which I doubt would be the case, that they would be able to implement it without there being some problems. Benjamin Senkool, have you been to a European football soccer game? Many greetings from Denmark. Oh, thanks. No, I haven't been. I've been to several soccer games here in the U.S., but I have not seen any. I have not attended any in Europe. I would love to someday. That would be amazing just to be around the crowd atmosphere, especially. The Donny Soldier. Where do you think England can get in this year's World Cup? Maximum semifinals. I think England is overdue for a good run in the World Cup. I believe success has its ups and downs. I believe that a team's progression in a World Cup has its ups and downs. England, it's time for England to have a good World Cup. They've been a massive disappointment in the last two. I've got them winning their group. I've got them beating the round of 16 opponent, and I've got them getting to at least the quarterfinals. Maybe semis. Adam Barca fan, do you speak Arabic since you were Egyptian? Yes, I do. I do. Not fluently, but I speak a good amount of it to have a conversation. I took a test once. I'm about 70% proficient. So yeah, that answers your question. Hold on, give me a moment. Harvey Feller Tom. I'm looking at these on my phone. Harvey Feller Tom. What other sports do you like? I really like basketball. Basketball is my second favorite. I used to play basketball as a kid with my friends after school. I love playing basketball. It's even more fun playing it than watching it. I watch the NBA postseason when the playoffs come around, which should be beginning sometime around next month. So I'm looking forward to that. I really love basketball. To a much, much smaller extent, American football, not really. It's okay, but I'm more into the college football scene when it comes to American football. I got sympathetic to it when I started university, and especially in the last few years, my university has done very well in college football. A lot of those games are exciting, and my college friends got me into it, but soccer is my favorite sport by far. Second is basketball. Then I'd say maybe college football. What else? I also really like swimming. I love swimming. Sehati Roblox. How much gap is between Saudi Arabia and Egypt in quality and other stuff? What's your opinion on Saudi players on loan in La Liga? Not very large. The gap is not very large. It's not very large between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. I do think Egypt is slightly better, but I think that Saudi Arabia on their best day can beat them. A lot of decent players that play locally, domestically in the Saudi league, on the Saudi Arabia national team as well. And a lot of their players going on loan to La Liga is an excellent idea because you're giving these players exposure to play at the highest level right before a World Cup takes place. And if Saudi Arabia wants to advance out of their doable group, that's a huge step forward. That's excellent for these Saudi players, especially right before a World Cup tournament. Savaniste 7, Q&A US versus Egypt in World Cup 2022 group game. Which one will you support? Probably Egypt, because my line of reasoning is this. Egypt very rarely qualifies for World Cups, whereas the USA lately, up until this year, always makes it. And I don't know when's the last time I'm ever going to see Egypt again in a World Cup. So I should enjoy it while it lasts. So I'd say Egypt, for that reason alone. Goran, what do you think about players today earning more in 1 week than average worker for 500 years of work? I mean, I get it. I mean, footballers are celebrities. They're a huge part of culture consumption. I understand why they earn so much money. I do think though sometimes it gets ridiculous because, you know, is any one player really worth 300 million euros? I don't have anything against footballers being rich. They're rich. We love football. It's the most popular sport in the world. I understand why they're celebrities. but sometimes it can go overboard. Like the whole $222 million transfer from Barca to PSG for Neymar. I mean, is he worth that much money? Is any person worth that much money, really? I don't know. Um, what do you think about tattoo popularity among soccer players? Is it a sign of intellectual poverty? No, not necessarily. A player anyone really, can have a tattoo, something on their body that is important to them. Maybe someone has their mother's name, their sister's name, or something, uh, and it's very personal to them. In that sense, okay, I respect that. Uh, I don't have any tattoos myself. I don't. I don't think I ever will, just because I don't want to go through the pain of that. Plus, I don't know what I would get. If I'm going to get a tattoo, it has to be something that's really, really, really important to me. But is it a sign of intellectual poverty? Not necessarily, no. E. Bradley, CAF have a competition called the African Nations Cup Championship, where each country enters players who play for teams who are based in that specific country. So which other confederations do you think should have this style tournament? Everyone. Everyone. It's a good idea. Had to have regional tournaments, even if mini ones that have all local based players from their countries, because it gives football federations of those countries, and it gives managers of those national teams essentially a better scouting report to find local homegrown talent to use at a later time. So I think it's an excellent, efficient method of essentially scouting. I think it's a good idea. Jonathan Duru, most underrated players in the game. Underrated players in the game. I really like Alvaro Morata, especially on the Spain national team with how Julian Lopetegui plays him in position. I think Morata is absolutely just as valuable to the squad as players like Isco are. Who else underrated? I would also say Lorenzo Insigne. It's a shame that he's not going to be with Italy this summer in the World Cup. But those are two players that I think, even though they are widely recognized as being good players, I just think that they're better than the media attention that they get. So I'm going to say Alvaro Morata and Lorenzo Insigne, in my opinion. That's from Jonathan Duru. So, next question, Blind Biker 23. Did you do a March Madness bracket, and how busted is it currently if you did make one? I did not make a March Madness bracket, but perhaps I should have. I know that UMBC upset Virginia, the 16th seed, beating the number 1 seed, so that was threw a lot of people up a huge surprise. Ruined their brackets, I heard about that. Bindle Bundle, how old are you? How old do you think I am? I'm 24. I just look older because balding a little bit on top. Next question comes from Alex DeLarge. He asks me, how much do you think foreign players affect England's club and national team status? Is it a main cause of why England and English football clubs have low success rate on the big stages? This is an excellent question. You know what I think is really hurting England on a national team scale? You look at La Liga, you look at the Ligue 1 in France, you look at the Serie A, you look at the Bundesliga. What do they all have in common? They all have a decent amount of homegrown managers. You look at the Premier League, Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Portuguese, German, Italian, Argentine managers. England doesn't really produce very many great managers. I mean, you have Sir Alex Ferguson, but that's cheating because he's Scottish. So I think it's a big problem. Because the thing is, you look at all these different leagues in Europe, the best leagues in Europe, a lot of these local homegrown managers, they have their own style that they introduce, and it seeps down into the national team a lot of the time when a lot of these players play for both local clubs and for their national team. I think that's a big problem for England. Whether or not England is adversely affected by foreign players, I don't really see why that would hurt England, because a lot of non-Spaniards play in La Liga. A lot of West Africans play in Ligue 1 in France. A lot of non-nationals play in the top clubs all across the continent. Not even the best ones, but all of them. So, no, I don't think that's the cause. I think that, if anything, that's sort of helped England a little bit, having the fact that the EPL is the most competitive. It is the most competitive league in the world. Get a lot of players from around the world that go to the EPL. I think that has contributed to increased competition. I don't think that's what's hurt England. I actually think that's what's helped keep England relevant. That's what helps keep England afloat, though still not really a World Cup championship caliber team. So I think England, the whole thing with homegrown managers is they don't have a national identity as far as football is concerned, you know. So I think that's the problem. That's a big problem. Good question. Next one is from Bethel Kebede. Do you think Zambia will be able to make it to Qatar 2022? Yes, I think Zambia is a great candidate from Africa to potentially make the World Cup in 2022. The Copper Bullets are a pretty good side. Arba 3 Tuck, what do you think is more likely to happen? They who must not be named to crash out of the group stages of the World Cup 2018? Or Tunisia making out of the group? Which of the one is more likely to happen? So which one's more likely to happen? Argentina, a.k.a. they who must not be named, crashing out, or Tunisia going through? In all honesty, it's more likely Tunisia goes through than it is for Argentina, they who must not be named, a.k.a. Messi plus 10 other guys, a.k.a. Clowns FC, to not go through. I know I'm taking a risky prediction by predicting Argentina to not go through, but what's more likely going to happen? Them crashing out or Tunisia going through? I think it's Tunisia going through. So that's a small little nice thing that I said about they who must not be named. I'm taking a risk in saying they're not going through. They probably will go through. Tom DeBoer, what do you think who do you think will get relegated in the Premier League? Well, Bromwich is done. Bromwich is done. I think also your teams like Stoke City and West Ham, it's not looking good. Who will just about survive? I think Swansea will just about hold on. Maybe you'll see someone like Crystal Palace make a last-minute surge and stay in the Prems, but West Brom and Stoke City, I think, they're done. Those are the two teams that I think are they're done this season. Next question. Also from Bob McRobb. Oh no, this is a different person, sorry. What do you think of UEFA rejecting Jersey's application for membership? I understand it, but if you want to grow the sport, you've already accepted Gibraltar, San Marino, other micro-states. Why not add Jersey to it? Why not? Uh, Japan. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Dipanjan Dutaroy asks me, if you given a chance to score a goal in the history of world football, what will be it? What does it mean to you? Do you mean any? Do you mean any goal in the past, or do you mean in the future? If I could score any goal from the past, uh, it would be my favorite goal, which is from the 2006 World Cup. Maxi Rodriguez in extra time versus Mexico just outside the box after a lovely lob off his chest, and he just smashes it into the top left-hand corner to beat Mexican goalkeeper Osvaldo Sanchez. That's my favorite goal in not just World Cup history, but in tournament history. And if it has to be a goal for the future, I guess it would be a strike that wins the World Cup for either Egypt or the USA. That would be the future. Footy Lad MBAC. When will you do a fantasy football series with the SAF region of AFC? That's the South Asian football region. It's coming. I was actually going to have two tournaments for fantasy football for the Southern Asian Federation. I was going to do a Southeast Asian one, and then a Himalayan Cup. Countries that have the Himalayan mountains in them. Luigi Smash. I love that name. Will politics be a factor in the World Cup? Yeah, it's going to. It's inevitable. I mean, Russia is considered a controversial figure on the world stage, so there's going to be politics involved. But I think it's going to be a successful World Cup. I think the politics will mostly be on the sidelines. The Donny Soldier, the top 5 sets of fans in the world. Top 5 sets of fans in the world. I like Welsh fans, especially when they're singing. You go watch any Wales international football game, they're singing the anthem. It's a beautiful anthem, not just before the game starts, but in the stands during the game itself. Also have to put Irish fans in there. I really like. As far as club fans go, I like Juventus fans. Even though I don't support the club myself, I really like Juventus fans. I think I love the sea of black and white and pink, and just the chanting that goes on. That's 3, right? I do like... You want another club example or an international football example? Because I can give you both. So for clubs, I would say that I actually really do like West Ham because I love the Bubbles celebration. Again, singing's a big thing for me. I like it. So, and then you want one more, right? That's 4. I'll give you an international one. And that is the Japan national team, because I like how creative with a lot of their costumes the fans are when they come in the stadiums, and I love beating on drums. But then again, I like pretty much any African national team fans. I think they bring a party to the stadium, so there's a lot of great football fans out there. It's hard to narrow it down to my favorite 5. So next question is from Star HG. What do you think of Martin Odegaard, and do you think he can still make it? Yeah, Martin Odegaard of Norway. He's a decent footballer, but I'm afraid that he has sort of been given the Freddie Adu treatment. A player that is very hyped up, way too early ascribed the label of possibly being the next Messi or something, and then just either not living up to that hype or just having too much hype placed on his shoulders, when the reality is he's probably going to be like a mid-level tier kind of player. I hope he doesn't get the Freddie Adu treatment. Really hope not, but it seems like he's in the process of it. Do you think this is the last year of Arsene Wenger at Arsenal? Also from Kai Star HD. Question 2. It could be Arsene's last year, but, I mean, it's supposed to be his last year every year, so I doubt it. FIFA Pre, do you think Arab nations are growing in soccer, of course? Meaning, can we see 5 Arab nations at the next World Cup? Actually, it wouldn't be bad to have an Arab confederation. It would be stronger than most people would think. Yes, an Arab confederation would be stronger than people think. Do I think Arab nations are growing? Yeah, of course. They're growing, but I also think that it's fluctuating. So, in the past, what you would have is you would mostly have the North African teams being Arab representation in a World Cup. You'd have Iraq in there a couple of times, Israel at some point in the 1970s, Iran as well. But for the most part, who got the most attention out of the Arab world, it was the North African teams. Now, I think you're seeing some national sides that are going very far in qualification when they previously haven't, like Jordan in 2014, Syria in 2018. You have Oman winning the Gulf Nations Cup. You have the United Arab Emirates, who finished 3rd place in the last Asian Cup. So I do think Arab teams all across the board, this is sort of a golden era for Arab national football teams, but it also fluctuates back and forth between who's at the top. For example, a few years ago, Morocco were not very good at all. Now they're probably the best Arab nation in world football. The best Middle Eastern nation in world football is Iran, in my opinion. So yeah, I think overall it's gotten better, but it's going back and forth. It's going up and down. But I do think it's a great thing that there's three North African countries in the World Cup from Africa for the first time. This might be a golden generation, a golden time, a golden era for North African, maybe even Arab football. I hope so. And it seems like the last question is from Danny Arefi. Who is your favorite team from the Asian Football Confederation? My favorite team from the Asian Football Confederation. I said that I do have a soft spot for Australia. But Australia, they're part of the Asian Confederation, but they're not an Asian team, really. So that's a little bit of cheating, so I'll give you another answer as well. Japan and Iran. I like Japan and Iran from Asia in addition to Australia. So that's it. I did not expect this video to be almost 30 minutes long. That is wild. But, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I answered all of your questions. Submit more questions so I can answer next Monday and get this Q&A thing really rolling. So, maybe I'll see you later today. If I don't, have a good one. Peace out. Much love. Take care.